Do you remember the Tube Mice, the 1988 cartoon about London Underground's rodent infestation? It was one part Wombles and one part punk rock, and starred the original Raz the Mouse. My name's Anthony Robin, you can call me Tony, and this is Remembering Tube Mice. London Underground's train network is also known as the Tube. It's hot, it's crowded, and despite the best efforts of the staff, it can get pretty dirty. The discarded takeaways and general rubbish from all the people using the service provides enough food to support a large number of mice. These creatures spend their lives dodging trains and scampering around the platforms looking for food. They are known by Londoners as the Tube Mice, and in 1988, Sarah and Simon Bohr decided that these ragged rodents would make the perfect subject for a short animated children's cartoon. This was one of the first programs from their production company, Honeycomb Animations. Honeycomb Animation would later become best known for their spooky kids show, Grisly Tales for Gruesome Kids. Tube Mice was first shown on CITV and was later shown on Nickelodeon and in other countries around the world. The show followed the adventures of the mice who live on the London Underground. The mice had their own small world around the feet of London's commuters, and like the Wombles, they made good use of the things that people threw away. The mouse furniture is all repurposed items. A Newgate bar is the seat in the small mouse compartments on the trains. An old cuckoo clock sits in the hallway between Bubble and Squeak's apartments, and the mouse ticket booth is an old sardine tin. The mice also eat discarded food, and have a communal pool in case the food ever runs short. But the mice never steal things that people are still using. They even have a mouse code that Bubbles recites for us throughout the show.
We never steal, that's what we say. We only use what's thrown away.
The four main mice are Bubble and Squeak, the good mice, and Vernon and Toaster, the bad mice. Well, naughty at least. They are joined by a supporting cast of mice, including Bohemi, an arty mouse rescued from a lab, Mickle Mouse, a mouse MP, and Rapper, who is a rapper in the awkward 80s white guys trying to be cool kind of way. The very first episode of the show introduces us to all the mice, with Squeak talking directly to camera and introducing us to the other mice. Squeak is a field mouse from the country who recently moved to London. He is voiced by Robert Farley. Robert Farley has numerous acting credits and has done voice work for The Animals of Farthing Wood, Lost in the Snow, also by Honeycomb Animation, and video game voice work in Fable 3, Perfect Dark and Total War Warhammer, amongst others. Squeak is a well-intentioned, but maybe not so bright mouse. Think Tim Nice but dim, if he was a mouse. Squeak's best friend is Bubble, and she's a born and bred Londoner. In the second episode, she moves out of her family's flat and into the underground. Bubble is bright, streetwise, and always upholds the mouse code. She is also the first Raz the Mouse to appear on TV. There is actually an interesting post on Simon Bohr's blog about how they made the conscious decision to have a black main character mouse due to a lack of diversity on children's television at the time. Link in the doobly-doo. Bubble was voiced by Sheila Hyde, a stand-up comedian, actress and writer. She had appearances in the Desmond sitcom and the Son of the Pink Panther movie, and she has writing credits on several children's programmes. The two naughty mice were Vernon and Toaster, voiced by George Cole and Dennis Waterman, both of whom were starring in Minder at the time, a popular UK drama set in London's criminal underworld. These were the actors that parents would have recognised and been familiar with, and they get top billing during the opening credits. Vernon is a general chancer and wide boy. He wears a long coat and is always coming up with schemes to acquire things that aren't his.
In fact, I can find things before they're lost, if you know what I mean.
Toaster is his very loyal, but not very bright, sidekick. With his green hair and leather jacket, Toaster dresses like a punk. Most episodes revolve around Vernon coming up with a scheme or con, which he drags Toaster into. Bubble and Squeak then step in to stop the con, or rescue Vernon and Toaster from the consequences of their actions. Vernon and Toaster also drive a lot of the comedy in the show, with Toaster constantly misunderstanding what people say to him, and Vernon mocking Toaster for being thick. These constant put-downs from Vernon can be quite creative, but after a while they do get to be a bit much, and it would be nice if Toaster could have things go his way every once in a while. It's certainly not terrible, but the friendship does feel pretty lopsided.
Vernon is my very best friend.
He's as thick as that bar of chocolate.
Ow!
Like many shows of the time, Tube Mice was working with a relatively small budget, and the animation therefore reuses a lot of sequences. Most episodes use the same getting on the train, getting off the escalator and walking down the corridor animations over and over. They also did close-up reaction shots of each of the mice, which they then reused with different dialogue throughout the series. But this only really sticks out when you're watching episodes back to back, whereas the show would have only been on a few times a week, or at the most daily, during its original broadcast, so this reuse of animation sequences may not have been so noticeable. The show also uses an animation technique called boiling to make the mouse's noses constantly twitch. This technique allows the animators to imply more movement during relatively static sequences. Personally, I find the boiling technique quite off-putting, but it's not as bad in this show as some others, like Rhubarb and Custard. A lot of the show's distinctive look and charm comes from its backgrounds. These watercolours were created by Alison Rivers, but unfortunately I can't find any more information about her work online. The backgrounds in the show use strange, skewed angles and perspectives to give us a surreal, mouse-eye view of the world, and the humans are depicted with strange and distorted proportions, giving them a huge, alien, out-of-place feel. The show's opening credits plays a synthy, drummy tune over shots of London and the underground, before showing us close-ups of the mice, especially Vernon and Toaster, highlighting the big-name voice actors. The intro music was composed by Mike and Matt. The closing credits play over a sort of rap that spells out tube mice and gives a general premise of the show. The closing theme was written by show creator Simon Bohr and Dave Moran. Dave Moran has gone on to create many kids songs, including the Tidy Up song. Including the credits, episodes of the Tube Mice were approximately 5 minutes long. There was only one season of the show with 26 episodes, and I remember these being repeated into the 90s. Sadly, like a lot of cartoons of its time, there is no official way to watch the Tube Mice at the moment. It is not available on ITV's streaming platform or any other major streaming service that I can find. A couple of VHS tapes for the show were released, but the show never made the jump to DVD. 16 of the original 26 episodes are available to view on YouTube. These are rips of the VHS tapes, and the quality is not great. You can even see the tracking being adjusted in some episodes. But currently, without the VHS tapes, this is the only way to watch Tube Mice. A couple of episodes of the show stood out to me during my rewatch. Episode 5, Mouses of Parliament. Mickle Mouse takes the mice to the Houses of Parliament, and he gives a kid-friendly explanation of what an MP does, before Vernon and Toaster go messing about in Elizabeth Tower and end up hanging off the clock face. And episode 15, Phantom of l'Opera. Bubble and Squeak go to visit France, and while there, they meet Vernon and Toaster's doppelgangers, Camembert and Escargot. And Camembert and Escargot are trying to steal the Mouse de Lisa. Overall, I really enjoyed rewatching this show, and if you enjoyed this video, why not like and subscribe? I'll be back soon with more Forgotten Kids classics. In the meantime, why not check out my channel to see more of my videos? I've been Tony, and this has been Remembering the Tube Mice. Until next time guys, bye-zy bye.